A week before my wedding with David, I broke up with him. He chuckled lightly, his gaze like he was looking at a child throwing an unreasonable tantrum. Reason? Before I could even speak, the door pushed open. Carrie walked in, pulling a small suitcase. David, I bought the high-speed rail tickets. I'm still so scared. What if my parents don't believe you're my boyfriend? David didn't say anything, but his gaze fell back on me. In the past, I would have hysterically demanded to know exactly whose boyfriend David really was. But now I only felt an endless, weary fatigue. My voice was calm. That's the reason. You go home with her today and we're through. David studied me, his brow furrowing. Is this your tantrum number? Haven't I already explained it? You know perfectly well, Carrie, her family is forcing her to marry some older man. If you don't help her, her life will be ruined. I interrupted him, using his usual excuse. The air froze for a moment. The last trace of amusement in David's eyes turned completely cold. Anna, we've been together for 10 years. You can't leave me. I'll give you some time to cool down. 10 years together, from school uniforms to wedding gowns, he had always been convinced I couldn't live without him. But he didn't know. The wedding planner, the hotel, the master of ceremonies, I had canceled everything 2 months ago. And I had already accepted a job offer from a law firm in London, just waiting for the departure date. I got up to leave, but Carrie grabbed my sleeve. Anna, don't misunderstand. David and I are innocent. Her eyes were red, her expression fearful. My family has no connections. I was desperate and had to beg David for this favor. This is so important to me. I can't be trapped in that small place. Don't be angry with David because of this. He's barely slept these past few days, helping me prepare what to say, thinking of strategies with me. I shook off her hand. Innocent? Innocent people call him at 3 in the morning, crying about how your parents are pressuring you again. Innocent people, when heartbroken and caught in the rain, insist he come pick you up, making him miss the dinner we planned. Innocent people spend every day until late in his office. Innocent people need my fiancé, a week before my wedding, to go home with you to meet your parents. Carrie, do you have no hands, no feet, or no brain? Since you know you're just a junior he sponsors, not his real fiancé, do you not understand the word boundaries? Carrie froze, tears falling thick and fast, her shoulders trembling like leaves in the wind. Anna. David stood up, shielding her behind him, and sighed. You know her situation is special. She's not like you, who has everything. Can you stop being so mean? In the quiet cafe, her muffled sobs echoed. Suddenly, everything before me seemed absurd and laughable. I turned and left that nauseating atmosphere. I went home, collapsed on the sofa, and woke up to find it was dark outside. Picking up my phone, I saw a post Carrie had made half an hour ago. First time on such a long high-speed train ride. Though I'm going home, my feelings are complicated. Thank you for your protection, giving me the courage to face everything. At David. The picture showed the scenery outside the train window. In one corner of the photo, a distinctively shaped hand was holding a bottle of water. Just then, the screen lit up. A message from David. Just arrived. Her parents are difficult. Don't overthink it. I'll be back the day after tomorrow. An entire day, he accompanied someone else on a journey 1,000 miles away, and only now thought to reassure me. I stared at his profile picture. It was still that one taken downstairs at the law school building, him lifting me up, laughing with unrestrained joy and spirit. All these years, he'd never changed it. My finger hovered. I opened the settings and dragged him into my blacklist. 2 days later. My best friend Dawn called, inviting me to her birthday party. Half an hour later, I arrived at our usual bar. Dawn had already ordered drinks. I just sat down when I heard from the next booth. Can you believe David? Wedding next week, and at this critical moment he goes back to some other woman's hometown. Shh, keep your voice down. What's there to be afraid of? Anna's not here. Seriously though, Carrie is the real woman. Soft, delicate, speaks quietly. What man wouldn't like that? Anna's too strong-willed. So much pressure being with her. A top lawyer at the firm, she probably interrogates him like a criminal at home too. David, an unconventional architect, Wasn't she keeping him on a tight leash? Exactly. If it were me, I'd choose Carrie too. That pitiful look in her eyes, tsk tisk. One of David's friends chuckled lowly. All right, stop talking nonsense. 10 years of feelings between them, you think it'll fall apart over this? David's just soft-hearted, just helping out. I didn't listen anymore. I tilted my head back and drained my glass. Just as I put it down, who should walk in but Carrie? She came straight to our table, carrying a gift bag. Dawn rolled her eyes. Who invited you? Take it away, it disgusts me. Carrie flushed. I don't mean any harm, I just wanted to congratulate. Congratulate? Congratulate you for stealing my best friend's fiancé. Carrie looked at me, on the verge of tears. Anna, there's really nothing between David and me. Please don't be angry with him anymore. Are you confused? I sneered. Are you addicted to playing the tragic heroine? You're the one who did wrong, so why should I be understanding? I just don't want you two to fight because of me. The wedding is so soon, I don't want David to be unhappy. She stood there awkwardly. I'm different from you. I have no family background, no connections. Every step is hard for me. I just wanted to cling to David, he's my lifeline. If you know it's hard, then you should know to have some self-respect. If you know he's getting married soon, then you should know to keep your distance. I stood up, my presence imposing. While you enjoy his kindness, you come and play innocent in front of me. Carrie, is this act of yours specifically designed to disgust me? You privileged girls. You just look down on people, don't you? She abruptly wiped her face, suddenly grabbed the expensive bottle of champagne Dawn had just opened on the table, turned, and rushed out. But she bumped straight into a few people who had just walked in. Carrie? One of them recognized her. What's wrong? Who bullied you? Carrie shook her head, but her tearful eyes looked towards David, who had just returned with the group. What's going on? David rushed over. She barged in, insisted on apologizing to Anna, said Anna looked down on her, then grabbed my wine and ran. Dawn came out, displeased, and explained. I didn't mean to. Carrie kept her head down. All friends here, no big deal. One of David's friends tried to smooth things over. Anna, you're here too? David just got off the plane and came straight to celebrate Dawn's birthday. No big deal. Dawn exploded. She steals your brother a week before the wedding, and now she comes here to ruin my birthday, and you call that no big deal? David looked at me, his brow furrowed. Have you been drinking? I smirked. You want me to have been drinking? So you can collect my body. He stepped closer, his voice softening. All right, nothing happened. Why make such an ugly scene? She didn't mean it. If you're angry with me, fine, but don't take it out on others. Her life isn't easy either. David, do you think you have some special privilege? I'm taking it out on others? Are you blind or deaf? The one who did wrong is the victim now. Forget it, David, don't make things difficult for her. Seeing her aggrieved look, my anger shot straight up. Who asked you to speak? You do something wrong and then put on this magnanimous act, have you no shame? Anna. David's voice dropped. That's enough. Don't go too far. He turned to Carrie. I'll pay for the wine. You go back and rest first. Forget it, I grabbed my coat. You want to play the philanthropist, do it yourself. Dawn, let's go. TSK, what a temper. A muttered remark drifted from behind. Dawn and I walked on the early morning street. She felt a bit remorseful. Sorry, Anna. If I'd known, I wouldn't have thrown this party. Then you and David wouldn't have fought again. Why should I? I didn't stop walking. Just because she can cry, the whole world has to make way for her? And I stopped. I broke up with David a couple of days ago. Dawn walked silently beside me. I said, you don't believe me? She sighed. Honestly, Anna, no one believes you'll really break up with David. She looked at me. Can you really bear to let go? Sitting in the car home, Dawn's words echoed in my mind. Can I really bear to? I was still a bit away from home, so I asked the driver to pull over. I wanted to walk. The first time I met David was in the stairwell of the law school building. That year, the pressure of my postgraduate entrance exams was immense, compounded by my family's expectations that I must pass. The day before a mock exam, I had a sudden, severe panic attack. I hid in the stairwell, trembling all over, unable to breathe. I thought, if I fail, is my life over? I don't know how David appeared. He had an important design exhibition that day, but he crouched down and gently patted my back over and over. Preparing for the exam made me gloomy and irritable. I pushed everyone away. I yelled at him, told him to get lost, but he never got angry. He never left either. My roommate said he was crazy. He said no, he was there to rescue the princess trapped by legal provisions. Silly, I thought to myself. During my second attempt at the exam, some competitors spread rumors behind my back about academic misconduct. David rushed over and grabbed the guy by the collar. Who says she can't do it? His eyes were red. I saw with my own eyes her studying until 4 a.m. Who dares say another word? The crowd dispersed, and I looked at him coldly. It's none of your business. It is my business, he grinned, trying to smile. You're going to marry me someday, so your business is my business, right? My heart softened, probably at that moment. That day, I reached out and pulled him out of the crowd. Our hands clasped, and we never let go. Until the second year of my PhD, when Carrie appeared. She was a financially struggling student sponsored by his advisor, and she came to his studio for an internship. The first time I sensed something wrong was on David's birthday. I brought a gift to his apartment, wanting to surprise him. Instead, I saw him coming in the door with Carrie. David, happy birthday. This is a quick sketch I did for you. It's certainly not as valuable as the famous watch Anna gave you, but it's something I stayed up all night to draw, a token of my feelings. Thank you, the thought is the most precious, David said. A surge of anger flared up in me. I walked out. What do you mean, not as valuable as my gift? You give your gift, why step on me? Is my gift not thoughtful just because it's expensive? I didn't mean that. Seeing me, she jumped, her face turning bright red. David saw her out. What's there to be angry about? He closed the door and smiled at me. I don't like her. Her family situation is too poor. She worked hard to get here. My advisor asked me to look after her a bit. He said it would only be a year. But that 1 year became the 3 years of our most frequent arguments. Carrie always appeared when David and I were alone, either holding drawings for advice or asking for help when her computer rendering failed. Whenever I showed displeasure, she would redden her eyes, lower her head, and stay silent. Onlookers would think I was bullying her. Even David thought I was making a mountain out of a molehill. It's just a small favor, what's the harm in helping? I don't like her anyway. Why are you always so jealous? But it just rubbed me the wrong way. She would call when David and I had plans to celebrate me winning a case, saying she'd been kicked out by her landlord and needed David's help moving. She would have David take her to the hospital for acute gastroenteritis, while I waited alone for over an hour at the restaurant we'd booked. Her life isn't easy, just helping out. But I couldn't get past it in my heart. I made scenes, gave him the cold shoulder, broke up with him. But after breaking up, I couldn't sleep, tossing and turning, and pathetically initiated reconciliation myself. Dawn was right, I couldn't bear to leave him. It was true. 10 years of feelings were etched into my bones. Every time I tried to tear myself away, it felt like being cut with a blunt knife. I was afraid of the pain, so I chose to compromise, time and again. Until 2 months ago. My father had a sudden heart attack. I was frantic, waiting outside the resuscitation room, wanting to discuss it with him. I called over a dozen times, no answer. I shouldered it alone until dawn, when my father was finally out of danger. I found out later that he had spent that evening accompanying Carrie to some design industry gala, helping her expand her network. He didn't even know what my dad had been through. At that moment, I suddenly felt that breaking up wasn't so hard anymore. 2 months later, work handover complete, the Goof family banquet. Our families were old family friends. Although David and I were on the outs, I had to attend the family dinner. I just didn't expect Carrie to be there too. The seat next to David had always been mine. I didn't sit there. I walked straight to the opposite side. After Carrie helped Aunt Gu set out the soup, she casually sat down next to David, in my original spot. After I finished toasting the elders, I came back and found David sitting next to me. Still angry. He rested his chin on his hand, looking at me with soft eyes. It's been 2 days. How can you be so sensitive, I sat down calmly. David, we broke up, and you agreed. I'm convinced by you. He chuckled lightly. All right, then tell me, how many days is this one supposed to last? I ignored him. The banquet began, and the elders chatted about our wedding. That Carrie child is also quite pitiful, Aunt Goose suddenly spoke up. Her family pressures her so much. David going there this time to support her finally messed up that unsuitable marriage arrangement for her. Carrie smiled shyly. It all relied on David helping me in the end, teaching me how to negotiate with my parents, which finally made them relent and stop forcing me. Anku turned to me. Anna, what have you been busy with lately? I see you haven't been very involved in the wedding preparations. She must be busy choosing decoration materials. David spoke up before I could, his tone carrying his usual pride. After we're married, we're planning to move to the new house in the west part of the city. I've already designed it all. As he said this, he gently touched my shoe with his toe under the table. I moved my foot away and lowered my head to drink my soup. Yes, Anna, a woman should still prioritize her family, one elder said. Carrie quickly chimed in. That's right. A woman should be a good assistant to her man. That's how the family stays harmonious. Anna, you think so too, right? I smiled. Sorry, I'm not as romantic as you. I just want to work hard on my career while I'm young, aim to become a partner sooner. Of course, if any of you elders have legal needs, coincidentally our firm is currently promoting a family trust service. The team is top-notch, providing global asset planning and 24/7 response. Really, Anna? Uncle Goose said happily. This service seems very practical. My dad said proudly. Anna showed me the plan last week. It was very professional. The family fully supports her. Several elders asked with interest about the details, while Carrie's face across from us alternated between red and white. After the banquet ended, David cornered me under the moon gate in the garden. All right, you've vented your anger. Add me back. I found it laughable. What anger did I vent? We've already broken up. Haven't you heard? The best ex should be as quiet as the dead. You always speak so sharply, he reached out, trying to encircle me in his arms. The wedding is next week. You can't really not go, can you? If you don't add me back now, how will we contact each other? I don't want to. If we've broken up, why keep in touch? I turned to leave, but he suddenly pulled my phone out of my coat pocket. Give it back. Stop messing around. He skillfully unlocked it, removing himself from my blacklist while saying, There, was it really necessary to give me the cold shoulder until the wedding day? If you don't show up, I'll just have to crash the wedding and steal you away. Why would I go on stage? If he's getting married, why would I go? Then who do you want on stage? Carrie? He snorted lightly. No way. On the wedding day, you must be my bride. Don't forget, you're my fiancé. I was speechless. Just then, Carrie's voice came from nearby. Can I be your bridesmaid on the wedding day? Sometimes I had to admire Carrie. She always managed to appear like a ghost whenever David and I were alone. Like she had radar. David was taken aback for a moment, then shook his head. Sorry, Carrie, our best man and bridesmaids were decided long ago. I could be the flower girl's guide, just stand there for a little while. She turned to look at me, her expression earnest. Anna, surely you want the wedding to be perfect, right? Extra help is always good, I can do anything. I was almost amused into anger. Fine. You two go ahead together. One groom, one bridesmaid. You're familiar with each other anyway. I lifted my foot and left. Staying one more second was nauseating. David caught up. Talking nonsense again? He grabbed my arm. On such an important day as the wedding, of course, it's only you and me. I hugged my arms and looked with amusement towards Carrie, who was nearby and on the verge of tears. Are you sure? Without her, her tears are about to fall, you know. Why would I bring her? She's not my bride. He paused, then said, Not helping you with your dad's situation before. I thought you were so capable, you'd definitely handle it. I know in my heart how excellent my fiancé is. That's settled. I'll pick you up next week. He pulled me into his arms. All right, no more fussing, okay? Just then, a few elders also strolled into the garden. Oh my, look at these two kids, what a perfect match. Aunt Goose smiled. Seeing me stand still, David's lips curled into a confident smile. He probably thought I'd calmed down, that this breakup, like all the others, was much ado about nothing. Be good, wait until after the wedding, he whispered in my ear. Then we'll move into our new home. A week later, the wedding day. David and the groomsmen waited downstairs for 20 minutes before realizing no one was home at my place. Unable to reach me by phone, he frantically rushed into my house, only to see the canceled wedding invitation lying open on the coffee table, and the stub of my one-way ticket to London. I changed to a London number, registered new social media accounts, adding only a few people like Dawn. My parents only felt comfortable leaving after I'd been at my new job for a week. But just a few days later, while I was in a video conference with my new boss, Dawn called. Anna. Big trouble. David's gone crazy. I was startled. What? The day of the wedding, when you didn't show, he thought you'd been kidnapped and almost called the police. Later, when he found out you'd run off, he really panicked. He searched everywhere for you, guarded your place for 2 days and nights, and only then realized you weren't just throwing a tantrum, you were really gone. He came to see me yesterday. He was completely wrecked, unshaven, suit all wrinkled, asking if I knew why you went to London. I said, don't you know why? I showed him Carrie's posts and said, you and Carrie were all lovey-dovey like that. Anyone could see it, and you expected Anna to just keep putting up with it. He said he didn't know about the posts. Looking at him, he didn't seem to be faking it. I think he might come looking for you. It's not might, he's already here. I put down my phone and looked at the man standing before me in my office, travel-worn and weary. David's state was indeed terrible. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes bloodshot. The usual vigor and confidence were completely gone. Anna, this is? My British boss asked. And a friend, I said. He looks like he has urgent business? Should we pause the meeting? I shook my head. No need, let's continue. As I passed David, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Anna. I'm in a meeting, an important one. I brushed his hand away. If you have something, wait until it's over. With that, I closed my office door. Half an hour later, when the meeting ended, David was still standing there. My boss looked at him, then asked me quietly, need help? This gentleman seems a bit emotionally unstable. It's fine, thanks, I smiled. An old friend. I took David to the cafe downstairs from the office. A seat by the window. I need an explanation. His voice was hoarse. We broke up. He stared at me intently. Just because I accompanied her home? Let's say that's the reason. Do you have any idea what you've done? We agreed to get married and settle down in our city. You leave without even a word, Anna. What exactly do you take me for? What do I take him for? What a joke. My tone was flat. An ex-fiancé. Why? His voice suddenly rose. You've fallen for someone else? That blonde guy just now. I let out a cold laugh. TSK, David, hanging around Carrie so much has really taught you how to turn things around, hasn't it? I stood up. If you came to accuse me, to twist things and blame me for the breakup, then we have nothing to talk about. I picked up my briefcase and turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist tightly again. His whole body was trembling. 10 years. 10 years. He looked up, his eye sockets red. You're leaving over such a small thing? You were actually tired of me long ago, weren't you? You wanted to shake me off long ago, didn't you? Anna, how can you be so cruel? After all these years, you just cut it off without a second thought. Do you even have a heart? Do you know what I thought about every day while dealing with her parents? I thought, after we're married, I'll never have to deal with this crap again. We could go to work together every day, pick out furniture together on weekends, curl up on the sofa in our new home watching movies. We'd both shine in our own fields. Do you know what I was doing the days you flew to London? I was organizing the soft furnishing list for our new home. While organizing, I kept thinking. His eyes were frighteningly red. When you saw the video I prepared at the wedding, would you jump for joy? I was like an idiot, planning our future, and you, what were you doing? Was it fun, Anna? Playing me like that? Are you happy now? I looked at him calmly. Grievance, unwillingness, shattered. I sat back down opposite him. David, do you know why, 2 months ago, I started promoting that family trust plan? He was stunned. 2 months ago, on the night of June 12th, my parents were out of town attending a wedding. I was home alone when my dad suddenly called, saying his chest hurt badly. My voice was very calm. I panicked. I immediately located him and called the local 120. But it was a small city. The medical facilities were poor. I had to arrange a transfer immediately, find specialists. I couldn't breathe. Everything went dark. But I called you several times. No answer. Then I called 120 myself and started driving frantically towards him. During those agonizing 4 hours on the highway, I called you a few more times. By the time I arrived, my dad had just been wheeled out of the resuscitation room. David's pupils suddenly contracted. The doctor said if he'd been any later, he would have been gone. My parents were so worried about me, they kept it from me. I signed the papers alone outside the operating theater, trembling so much I could barely hold the pen. I wished so much you could have been there, could have held me. I've been afraid of hospitals since I was a child. That night, many thoughts crossed my mind. I didn't want to carry these burdens alone anymore. It wasn't until around 4 a.m. that my dad's condition finally stabilized. I refused to rest, drove home myself to get things. Just then, your call came. Remember how I asked why you never answered your phone and what you said? David's face instantly turned deathly pale. You said you were accompanying Carrie to a design industry gala, helping her expand her network, and had your phone on silent. Ning ning. I didn't know. I really didn't know. If I had known then. You really didn't know. Because when I got your call, I was standing right outside your apartment building. I shook my head slightly, forcing a faint smile. Strange, isn't it? When I couldn't get through, I didn't feel anything much. Going to the hospital alone wasn't impossible. But hearing your reason after the call connected suddenly felt more suffocating than my dad being in the emergency room. I looked at the light shining through your apartment window, and somehow I remembered the year I was preparing for my exams, when I had my panic attack. You gave up on the design exhibition you'd prepared for 6 months and rushed like crazy to the stairwell. I called you silly, and you yelled at me with red eyes, saying, "Anna, remember this, whenever you need me, through fire and flood, I'll be the first to rush to your side." These past 2 years, I've constantly reflected on myself. Every time we fought, every time we broke up, I would think, was I too bad-tempered? Was I too petty? Was I asking for too much? But that night, standing outside your building, watching you and Carrie walk back chatting and laughing at that moment, I suddenly felt released. I don't know when it happened, but the person who used to only rush towards me started having someone else in his eyes. Started complaining about my temper with someone else, started forgetting about me because of someone else's affairs. But I thought, maybe this is your choice. I could never become as gentle and obedient as Carrie. Arguing and making scenes again was pointless. The drama with the 3 of us should end. David stared at me blankly, as if all strength had been drained from him. So, those 2 months before the wedding, you were already planning to leave? Yes, I smiled. You didn't even notice I was contacting you less. Because you were fully focused on helping Carrie deal with her family's arranged marriage situations, even though you knew I never liked her. No, I never liked her. Ning Ning, I was wrong. I really didn't know about that night. If I had known, I would have died rather than let you go through that alone. His voice choked up. It's all in the past now. I shook my head. But you wanted a reason, so I gave you one. That's all. I don't like her. Really don't. I never thought she would become a problem between us. I helped her just because I felt sorry for her, just a casual helping hand. If I liked her, if I really wanted something with her, why would I have put so much effort into designing our new home? You have to believe me, Ning Ning. He reached eagerly for my hand. Just a casual helping hand? I avoided his touch, my tone distant. David, you just took my not leaving for granted and comfortably enjoyed another person's dependence and admiration. Don't tell me you didn't know she's always liked you. I took a sip of coffee. Actually, it doesn't matter. You're just not used to it yet. I used to think I couldn't live without you too. But like I said the day we broke up, time and distance will dilute everything. No one is indispensable. I don't want that. His clenched fist hit the table, his knuckles white. I won't break up. I won't. A tear splashed onto the glossy tabletop. Then a second, a third. Ning Ning, 10 years. You can't just discard me. I'll cut off contact with her. I'll change everything. Let's not break up. Please don't break up, okay? Looking at his reddened eyes, a familiar dull ache returned to my chest. I knew this was the pain of separation. He said he'd planned for the future, hadn't I as well? He didn't know that inside the cap of the custom pen I gave him for his 30th birthday, there was a tiny inscription. It was the vow I had prepared to read to him at our wedding, about our life together. Now, it was all unnecessary. David, go back. I shook my head. We can't go back. David didn't go back. He came to my law firm every day. When I went to work, he sat in the lobby waiting area. He would buy my favorite black coffee, order dinner delivery for me when I worked late, and even somehow got the access card for our building and tried to sneak into the elevator. When it rained in London, he would wait outside with an extra umbrella. When it got cold, he would wait with a thick scarf. He did these things as if by right, as if we were still close lovers. But I never accepted, and I never responded. It became his one-man show. Colleagues whispered, asking if the handsome, persistent man downstairs was my fiancé. I said, ex-fiancé. Wow, they exclaimed. An ex that handsome and devoted, and you can be so heartless? Why not get back together? He persisted like this for a month. A month later, at an industry mixer, I met a gentleman. He was the head of a top investment bank, refined and knowledgeable, with impressive insights into cross-border M&A. After the event, he proactively exchanged business cards and invited me for coffee that weekend to discuss potential cooperation. This scene happened to be witnessed by David, who was waiting in the lobby. Instinctively, he wanted to rush over, as he had done countless times before, to stake his claim. But after taking 2 steps, he stopped abruptly. Because he heard me say into the phone, okay, see you this weekend. Anna. He rushed over and grabbed my arm, his eye sockets frighteningly red. Don't agree to see him. Ning Ning, please, don't agree to see him. David, you should go back. Stop wasting your time on me, I said. Initially, David refused to leave. But 3 days later, he did return to China. Because Uncle Gu had a sudden cerebral hemorrhage and was hospitalized. 2 days later, I got a call from Dawn. Anna, you need to come back. What's wrong? Ugh, it's David again. Now he refuses to manage his firm, insists on dissolving it to come to London. Making your parents furious. Oh, and he's on a hunger strike. His stomach, weak since childhood, now he's collapsed too. All this is making Uncle Gu's condition worse. She sighed. I know you're determined to end it. But Aunt and Uncle Gu have treated you like their own daughter since you were little. Come back and talk some sense into him. Make that kid get back to work and stop tormenting the old folks. I booked the next flight home. As soon as Aunt Gu saw me, she wiped away tears. You two are doing so well, how did it come to this? Whatever David did wrong, you tell Auntie will punish him for you, okay? I shook my head. Auntie, take care of your health. I'll go upstairs and see him. Upstairs, I ran into Carrie at the door of David's bedroom. She was holding a bowl of warm stomach-soothing tea, gently coaxing him. Get out. Who asked you to come? Didn't I tell you never to enter my house again? David's hoarse roar came from inside the door. Aunt Gu's blood pressure is high today, I'm here to relieve her. Carrie's voice still carried that timid stubbornness. If you won't think of yourself, think of those who truly care about you, okay? Something seemed to hit the door panel. I told you to get out. Don't you understand human language? I won't leave. Carrie raised her voice, on the verge of tears. I'm not as heartless as her. I can't stand seeing you treat yourself like this. If you won't eat or work, I won't eat or drink either. Die then, see if I care. Get out. The next second, the door opened. David's previously ashen eyes lit up the moment he saw me. Ning Ning. He pushed Carrie, who was blocking the doorway, aside. When did you get back? Just arrived. Just got off the plane, I said calmly. If this is a bad time, I can come back later. What nonsense are you talking? His eyes immediately reddened. I knew you wouldn't ignore me. I was silent for a moment. David, acting like this is too childish. Come in. He grabbed my hand tightly, pulling me inside, completely ignoring Carrie beside us. I've already contacted headhunters in London. There are a few good firms, take a look. But Carrie suddenly reached out and blocked the doorway. Move. David's voice was icy. How can you be so foolish? What exactly do you like about her? Carrie looked at David, tears welling up in her eyes. She's selfish, cold, has a terrible temper, only lets you give. David, are you going to ruin yourself for her? You shut up. David trembled with rage. Say one more word against Ningning, and I'll tear your mouth apart. Our business is none of your concern. I have to care. Seeing you like this hurts me more than dying. She turned to me, venomous. Anna, have you ever truly cared about him? Besides taking on their internal architecture platform, completely disassociating himself, saying he had only ever loved one person, his childhood sweetheart Anna, currently developing in the legal field. Dawn clicked her tongue. It caused quite a stir in their circle. Carrie became a laughingstock. Everyone said she was delusional. She probably couldn't handle the blow, made frequent mistakes at work, and finally made a pretty basic structural error that almost jeopardized a project. That industry is so realistic, they just let her go. I commented flatly. Her professional foundation was always weak. That job relied on David polishing her resume and tutoring her. Real design work depends on solid skills. It was only a matter of time before she was exposed. My dad mentioned it too. Apparently Carrie went to the Goos demanding compensation, and Uncle Goo called the police. Dawn continued. At the New Year's gathering, David came too. He was devastated when he didn't see you. But really, he's lost that old male god aura. So thin, his spirit completely diminished. Sigh, you really took such good care of him back then. On my departure day, I saw David again at the airport. He was so thin he could barely fill the coat we'd once picked out together. I almost didn't recognize him. Stomach, old trouble. Spent some time in hospital. He smiled weakly, his face pale. Oh, I'll send you the recipe and brewing instructions for that tea. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. This is what I deserve. I brought it on myself. I still pressed a promotional brochure into his hand. Consider it a final kindness. Leaving now. His voice was very soft, cautious. I nodded. Afternoon flight. My parents are seeing me off. Can I, in the future, come to Paris to see you? A last glimmer of hope in his eyes. I smiled slightly and slowly shook my head. It's too far. Don't bother. A year's persistence should have an end. He should stop too. But he stubbornly shook his head again. Goodbye. I waved at him and turned towards the security checkpoint. Suddenly I remembered, many, many years ago, on a similarly clear morning, I had held David's hand, pointed at the sky, and said that one day we would go see the bigger world together. The morning light today seemed more magnificent than any I remembered. And I was about to set off alone, heading for that vast sky that belonged to me. Who says that isn't something to look forward to?